Chapter 18, which is the conclusive chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, summarizes all that has been said in the various chapters from chapter 1 to 17, particularly the significant aspects of the advice that Lord Krishna has given to Arjun. Shlok wise, from Shlok 1 to 12, the subject of Tyag or relinquishment is discussed, is explained. Shlok 13 to 18, causes of Garba according to Sankhya Yoga, that is described. Shlok 19 to 40, classification of knowledge, action, doer, reason, firmness and joy according to the three gunas. Which are the three gunas? Satvik, Rajasic and Tamasic. From Shlok 41 to 48, duties according to each category of persons, that is explained, and the fruits of their duties, that also is described. From Shlok 49 to 55, the path of knowledge is explained and described in detail. From Shlok 56 to 66, the path of Karam Yoga or the selfless action together with devotion, types of devotion, that is explained. And finally, Shlok 67 to 78, the glory of Gita is described, and Lord Krishna also tells Arjun that now that I have explained to you, I have given you the entire knowledge, it is for you to select, it is for you to choose the path which you want to adopt and take what action you like. Now I'll read English translations of Shlok 1 to 78 from the book The Bhagavad Gita, which is translated by me. Arjun said to Lord Krishna Mahabhav, omnipresent Vasudev, I want to understand the difference between sannyas and tyag. Shri Bhagwan said, many scholars consider giving up all such as worthy actions which are performed with the desire to acquire worldly knowledge, worldly gifts, is sannyas. But other thoughtful ones consider giving up all the desire to acquire anything, in return for which worthy action, this is true tyag. Meaning thereby you don't desire any result, you don't desire anything in return, it's not a trade. Other scholars think that all actions are blemished with one fault or another, and therefore they should be given up. But there are others who say yajna, donation, that is dhan, and tapa, such duties of men should never be given up. Arjun, between sannyas to renounce the worldly ties and tyag, that is to surrender, first you must try to understand my views on tyag. Tyag indeed is of three categories, that is Satvik, Rajasic and Tamasic. Satvik is endowed with goodness, Rajasic with passion and Tamasic with ignorance. Yajna, dhyan and tapa, these actions should never be given up. Instead, these actions must always be performed, because these are the actions which truly purify the wise people. Therefore, Parth, these actions, that is yajna, dhan and tapa, and worthy actions, other worthy actions and duties must be performed without attachment, without desiring the fruits of labor. Unworthy actions must be abandoned altogether. But man must not give up his duty. It must be performed. However, attachment and expectation to the results should be given up in all circumstances. Therefore, due to attachment, if anyone gives up one's duty, that is known as tamas tyag. All actions are full of misery, and if one gives up his duty due to fear of difficulties involved therein, it is known as Rajasi Tamasi. This kind of tyag does not bring any real benefit. The actions which are prescribed by the Shastras, holy scriptures, to a person, if performed without attachment and without expectation of any results, are considered to be true Satvik, that is, endowed with goodness, actions and tyag. The person who does not despise actions of his duty, even if they are not as enviable and not considered to be as great and likable actions, if like others, if the same fall under his duty and he carries them out without attachment, without expectation, he is in fact a true tyagi, one who renunciates. Because it is not possible for anyone to really give up all body related actions. Therefore, the person who gives up the fruit of his actions, only he must be considered as a tyagi. The person who does not give up but desires results of his actions indeed gets good or bad or mixed results of his actions after his death. But the person who renunciates the fruit of his actions does not have to suffer any consequences of his action at any time at all. Mahabhavo, there are 5 factors to fulfill your duties which have been described in Sankhya Yoga. These are known to nullify attachment with action. I will now describe these factors to you. Listen to them carefully. The factors are, the constituents are, first, the performer who performs. Number 2 is his intention. Number 3, various senses that affect the performance. After all, we do any work, we perform with mind, with hands, with feet, with vani, the speech. So we must understand these. These are the senses that affect performance. Different kinds of efforts, that is also important. And the effects thereof, of the previous actions, good or bad, these are all the 5 factors to fulfill your duty. Whatever good or bad action is performed by a person with mind, body and speech, the performance is caused by the aforesaid factors. However, if anyone due to lack of understanding considers that the soul is only reason for performing of an action by a person, in spite of these factors explained above, then you must consider that mind of such a person is not clear. Therefore, he lacks understanding of the reasons for his actions. However, the person who understands that his soul is not the real cause of his actions, and he who does not get involved in worldly objects or worldly actions, such a person, even if he kills the whole world, is in fact not a killer at all. Therefore, he is not a sinner. The objective of knowledge, the knowledge itself, and the person who holds the knowledge, these are 3 causes which motivate action. The person who takes action, his senses, and whatever he does all these three collectively form the action itself. According to the scriptures, the various attributes, knowledge, deed, and doer, are also classified into three different categories. I'll now explain these to you. Knowledge, which brings out the essential unity of indestructible individual, indivisible soul, is considered Satvik, endowed with goodness. That is the knowledge. This kind of knowledge. But the knowledge which gives an impression that all living beings are individuals with their own attributes should be considered Rajasic, endowed with passion. That is the definition of this knowledge. And the knowledge which is engaged in the transient body, which does not permit thinking beyond that, and which is also devoid of any creative meaning, should be known as Tamasic knowledge. Action which is performed according to the principles laid down in the scriptures and is carried out by a person free from ego and jealousy, is performed without attachment to its result, should be known as Satvik karma. But the action which is not free from ego or attachment and is performed under great stress by a proud person is called Rajasic karma. The action which began without taking into consideration its result, loss, violence, and the ability to perform, but is started purely on ignorance, is called Tamasic karma. Arjun, the doer, that is the performer, who is free from attachment, does not speak with ego and is full of patience and enthusiasm. The doer, who is free from the blemishes of joy and sorrow regarding the success or failure of his actions, is called Satvik, that is endowed with goodness. But the doer who is attached to the result, who is greedy and who causes trouble to others and harbors excess emotions of joy, sorrow, is called Rajasic, that is endowed with passion. The person who disobeys scriptures, who impedes the livelihood of others, and he who is ignorant, lazy, morose, and who procrastinates his duty is known to be under the influence of tamas or tamasic person. Arjun, you must also know the three categories of wisdom and the determination depending upon the qualities and the attributes. The wisdom that teaches you how to do one's duty while remaining a householder in the name of God, and the wisdom that understands duty and non-duty, fear and fearlessness, attachment and non-attachment, is known as Satvik, endowed with goodness, wisdom. But Arjun, the wisdom that does not distinguish between one's religion and sin or duty or non-duty is known as Rajasic, endowed with passion. That is the kind of wisdom. But the wisdom that considers non-duty as duty, sin as religion, and considers only wrong as right is called Tamasic wisdom. Parth, the determination of mind which emerges out of devotion to the Almighty the God, and is carried out by a person with mind, soul, and body, is called Satvik, endowed with goodness, determination. But once a person acts to fulfill his determination, which is arrived with the keen desire for the result and is full of attachment, it is known as Rajasic, endowed with passion, determination. And Parth, the determination of the evil-minded person who engages him in fear, worry, laziness, and sorrow, and because of which he cannot come out of these negative emotions, is called tamasic determination. Now I'll speak to you about happiness. Arjun, even happiness is of three kinds, which I'll explain to you. Happiness which is derived from the love of God, meditation, and the service of God, and that which causes the end of the sorrows. Though such a happiness appears to be cumbersome in the beginning, but the result of which is like Amrit, that is nectar, is known as Satvik, endowed with goodness. That's the happiness. But the happiness which is derived out of the senses and sensibilities, though it appears to be heavenly during the enjoyment, but carries the feeling of guilt at the end, that is called Rajasic happiness. However, the happiness which stupefies the soul in the beginning or in the end, such happiness which is perceived through laziness, through sleep and inaction, is known as tamasic happiness. Arjun, neither on this earth nor in the heaven is there any such creature who is free from these three gunas, because the entire universe is created out of Maya or illusion. Paratampa, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. These are the four categories of human beings which are divided according to what they have to do, according to their work, according to their duties, born out of juxtaposition of these three gunas. One who controls his mind and his senses and embraces difficulties in order to carry out his duty. One who remains pure and clean from the body, mind and the soul. One who is able to pardon others of their sin. One who keeps his senses and body in a simple form, and the one who is devoted to God and keenly studies the scriptures, and though these realize the truth of God, that is a natural Brahmin. So Brahmin is known from what he does. That is the duties, whether he is performing these duties of a Brahmin. Valor, glory, patience, skill and ability to donate, and the courage which forbids a person to run away from the battle, these are the qualities of a Kshatriya, which, please note, farming, breeding cows, trading and honest behavior, these are all the natural duties of the Vaishyas, and serving all others. All other three classes is a natural duty of a Shudra. The person who is deeply concerned with his duties and carries it out to the best of his ability achieves salvation. I shall explain to you how, through the performance of one's duty, one can achieve salvation. When a person worships the Creator, who has created everything, who has created everyone, and who is omnipresent, through the performance of his duty, through his performance, through his duty, he achieves salvation. Performing one's duty, even if the same is ordinary, is better than carrying out duties of others. Even these are of exceptional nature. Therefore, O son of Kunti, even if your own duty carries some blemishes, some difficulties, some problems, it is better to perform these if they are not looked as bright as others, but they are your duties, you should perform. Because one can never be committed to sin if one is performing one's own duty. The person whose wisdom rids him of attachment, all desires, and who is in full control of his mind achieves realization through unattached Karam Yoga. Now I'll explain to you the manner in which devotion to Jnana Yoga leads to unattached salvation. Therefore, that's how thereafter the devotee becomes one with God. The person who possesses pure intellect eats light, timely, and sattvic meals, often relinquishes speech and sits in a lonely place, breathes pure air, adopts sattvic decision, is able to control his mind, speech, and body. The person who has completely destroyed his attachment, jealousy, and who has adopted strong vairagya, freedom from the worldly desires, and has relinquished ego, arrogance, anger, desire, and remains in meditation. Such a selfless soul keeps his mind keeps on minding Almighty, keeps on thinking about Almighty, and is worthy of becoming inseparable one with the Almighty. Thereafter, that realized person with happy mind, neither does he feel sorry for anything, nor does he hold any desires. With that pure devotion, he understands me and my true size, my real self. Therefore, through constant devotion, he immediately gets into me and assumes my form and becomes one with me. The Karam Yogi who has submitted himself wholeheartedly to me and who carries out his duty only for my sake, dedicated to me. In fact, with my grace, he assumes my form. You should dedicate all your deeds to me from the core of your heart, and keeping a stable mind, you should submit yourself to me and concentrate on my form. In this manner, by fixing your mind on my form, you will be able to overcome all difficulties with my grace. But if because of your personal ego you do not pay heed to my advice, you will lose your purpose of life and will be self-defeated. If you think because of your ego you will not be able to fight, or you will not fight, this is a false notion. Your very nature will make you fight. Kuntiputra, the task that you do not want to undertake because of your attachment or ego, you will carry it out compelled by your nature that has emerged out of your previous deeds. Arjun, the omnipresent God who is present in the minds of all his creatures, compels human beings to wander in this world according to their deeds. Bharat, I advise you to surrender yourself to God. You will achieve peace and salvation with His grace. I have now imparted you the most confidential knowledge. You must assimilate this knowledge, apply your mind to it, and then do whatever you want to do. I would advise you to once again to listen to the secret of great secrets. You are most dear to me, therefore I shall give you this rare and beneficial advice again. Arjun, you should constantly think of me, the Almighty. Become my devotee. Worship me and pay your respects to me. In this manner you will achieve me, my form. Indeed, you are the most dear to me, a friend and a devotee. You must not grieve. You should dedicate all your deeds to me. I will rid you of all your sin. Therefore, do not feel sad. At no point of time should you ever try to explain this deep wisdom to persons who are not pure, who lack devotion, and who are not desirous of acquiring such rare wisdom. You should also not tell this to anyone who harbors doubt in his mind. Any person who will spread this rare secret knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita among devotees will certainly achieve my form. There is no doubt about it. There is no one in this world who is dearer to me than my aforesaid devotee. Nor in the future there will be anyone whom I ever love or consider any dearer to me except my devotee, as explained above. According to me, anyone who reads the dialogue in the form of the Bhagavad Gita will in fact be worshipping me through Jnana Yajna. This is my firm advice. Any person with devotion and without blemished mind, if he listens to the Bhagavad Gita, he will also be relieved from all his sins and will take birth among the nobles. Parth, did you listen to my advice with adequate concentration? Have you assimilated? Dhananjay, has your ignorant attachment vanished? Arjun said, with your grace, my attachment has been destroyed. I have regained my memory. Now I am standing here without any kind of doubt. Therefore, I will obey your orders. Sanjay said, in this manner I heard Lord Krishna talking to the great soul Arjun about the most confidential, astonishing knowledge. After receiving divine sight with the grace of Shri Vyasji, I have seen Lord Krishna in person talking to Arjun, and I have listened carefully to the entire dialogue. O King, I feel extremely happy recalling this wonderful dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjun. This is a most beneficial and undoubtedly rare wisdom. O my King, I am wonderstruck by repeatedly remembering the vast, wonderful form of Lord Krishna. This has given me immense joy. Rajan, according to me, the Pandavas on whose side is Lord Krishna and the mighty warrior Arjun are fighting, they only will be victorious. This is my firm belief. The wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita is universally acclaimed. The profound Indian philosophy holds an immediate relationship with life, then, life now, and life in the future. An apt example of pervading unhappiness of people in modern time is beautifully illustrated in the shloka from chapter 66. The person who has no control over his mind and senses lacks stability of intellect. Therefore, he cannot be creative. The mind which lacks creativity does not acquire noble wisdom. Such a person lacks faith. The man without faith cannot have peace. How can a person who doesn't have peace be happy? So these are the questions, these are the explanations that I have given to you. Arjun, you must contemplate and make up your mind and fight, because you are a Kshatriya. It is your duty to fight and fight the battle for which you have come, the battle for justice. And now I have also given you the entire knowledge. So I have also given you the choice. if you listen to me, this is your duty and you should do. But if you want to be on your own, I leave it to you. Thus, we find that our religion is particularly democratic in the choice. It does not only say that you must do this, it explains both the sides of a picture, everything around that, and then you have to choose, you have to make a choice. That's the beauty of Sanatan Dharam, Sanatan religion.